Ray. Oh, hang on. Right, finally. God, why does YouTube have to be so damn difficult? Right, let me adjust my camera slightly. Okay. Right, I'll give it a few minutes just to see if anybody's coming on. I've tried to sort out the lighting. This is as good as I'm going to get it. Yes, I'm in my pajamas because I am going to go to bed soon. I have an ice pack for my knee because I've been hiking all weekend and I'm absolutely broken, to tell you the truth. God, I can barely walk, honestly. I look like something out of Monty Python's Ministry of Silly Walks. And I've got a hot water bottle for my back and for my aching muscles. But other than that, good to go. So I'm just going to crack on. At some point, someone will join, and if not, you'll catch it up later. So, hope you're all well. If you've just stumbled upon this channel, my name's Lois. I am a mindset, manifestation, and empowerment coach. And in this series, I go through the A to Z of manifesting. And through each letter, I will go through all the different terms or phrases, keywords that you may have heard around manifesting, basically, to try and at least sort of explain what they mean and help you understand them a little bit better. Some are fairly straightforward, and some of them you may not have heard before. Others you might thought you understood, but actually probably didn't as well as you thought. So I'm going to hopefully clear a lot of things up so that you can be conscious manifestors. So I'm going to get started, even if I am talking to myself. Oh no, we've got one person. Hello. So I am going to get started on the letter D. I made a few notes here. I've added a couple of extra ones as well. If there's any others that you can think of that you want me to discuss, pop them in the chat box and I'll throw those in as well. And if you have any questions, just add a little comment in the chat box and I will answer those as we go. So the first one I'm going to start with. Oh, hi, Chris. I had fun and games again with bloody YouTube trying to get started. It was just going round and round in circles. The scheduled live didn't connect for some reason, and then YouTube just didn't want me to get online. So, but there we go. I'm here now. Right. As I was saying, we're going to start with the first one. And I've mentioned this, I think, this word previously many times, and it's desire. Desire is the number one reason for manifesting, because we want something, because we desire to experience or to have something that we currently don't have, or we think we don't have. Now, in materialistic terms, sorry, I'm just going to grab my cup of tea. In materialistic terms, obviously, we're talking things like you might want to manifest a car or a house or a new job or a relationship. But it goes deeper than that. Sometimes what we desire is actually the physical representation of the feeling that we actually want to experience, i.e. you want a relationship because you want to experience love and connection and sex and passion and all the good things. You want to manifest a house because you want the experience of security and stability. You want to manifest a car because perhaps you want to experience abundance, or it might represent success for you, or just freedom. Same with holidays. Most of us, when we're booking a holiday, it's either because we're burnt out, we're trying to escape something, or we're just sort of living out a fantasy. And so in all realms of manifestation, it's pretty much across the board. It's because either we feel like we don't already have it, and so therefore we want it, or maybe we've experienced it before and we just want to experience it again, because that is the point of life. We want to experience. That's all we've ever wanted to do as humans. That's the point of our existence, is to experience stuff. That's why we're manifesting all the time. That's why we always say, no, I want that and I need that. Now, the key thing we have to bear in mind with desires is, where are they coming from? So when we're desiring something from lack, we actually end up desiring more lack. It's quite a funny paradox. The universe has got a really good sense of humor. So if we're manifesting from abundance, we manifest more abundance. So for example, if we are manifesting money and we have a quite poverty mindset, we have a lack mindset, such as I want to manifest money, but money's the root of all evil, people with money are selfish. It's kind of a contradiction, because what you're generally saying then is that you actually don't want money because it represents all the things that you see as negative. And if we manifest what we are more than what we want, rather we attract what we are, then you may have an assumption that greedy people attract money because they're greedy, but it's not the case. Perhaps having the money made people greedy. That, perception is a curious thing. So desiring something should really come from a place of pure intention, i.e., I want to experience the thing because I want to enjoy the feeling of having it. Because maybe you've never gone on a luxurious holiday, maybe you've never gone on a cruise, so you desire a cruise, so you manifest a cruise because you want to know what a cruise feels like. In the meantime, you can still know what it feels like to have fun, to feel freedom, to have joy and excitement and adventure. We all know what those kind of feelings are. So when we embody those, we effectively start living in the end of having the thing we want already, because most of the fun is in the unfolding, right? So when you start wanting and desiring something for the pleasure of experiencing it, that's how manifestation kind of speeds up. When you're manifesting something because you're craving it, because you need it, because you feel like it needs to complete you in some way, like if you don't have a relationship, you don't feel worthy, you don't feel good enough, you need somebody to validate your worth in this world, that's a very slippery slope. And then what you end up doing is manifesting more experiences that show you you're not worthy. So yeah, it's an interesting paradox. But in a way, if you relay everything as your mirror, it's perfect, because however you're experiencing your world, it's mirroring back to you something that's going on inside of you, something about yourself. So if you're experiencing a lot of, I don't know, say people being judgmental, or people being argumentative, or people just, not being very kind, it doesn't mean that you're a judgmental or argumentative or unkind person. It means you have a belief that people are unkind, that people are judgmental. And so what your brain starts doing is looking for evidence to prove that that's true. That is why you've got to really sort of take your attention off of the things that you don't have, or the things that you don't want, and look at the things that you do want and the things that you do have. Because you can already say, well, I want a holiday. I've been on many holidays. I love going on holidays. Equally, I like staying at home. But I want the pleasure. I want the experience. I want the joy. And so living in that state of being is what sort of generates more of that manifestation to come into your reality. I hope that makes sense. Desire is a deep one. Oh, yeah. You sent me a load of DMs on your last video. Did you see them? Oh, a load of Ds. Oh, I don't think I did. Oh, hang on. Oh, God, now you've got me. Right. Let me just hang on, Chris. Let me quickly go in and see on the other video. I should have checked that before I actually came on live, just to check, but I didn't. So let me see. Right. Hang on. Bear with. Yeah, desire is a funny one, because it does trip a lot of people up. They feel guilty for desiring something, but we should never feel guilty for our desires. Desires are fun. They should be fun. I mean, unless you're desiring something wicked. I mean, if you desire to hurt somebody, then it's not nice. But, we all desire something. So desiring something amazing is where we should be going for. We want to desire the best. Right, I'm going to just remove that one. Let's delete that. Okay, see, let's have a look. Let's turn the volume down so we can't hear that. Okay, I've got a few D's you could pick from. Oh, discipline, that's good. Determination, dependency, that's a good one. Yes, I'll add that one in. Development, devotion, discernment. I had discernment, so we're good on that. Discovery, diversity, it's all I can think of. I like that. The most enlightened people have the best sense of humor. Totally agree. Totally agree. It's because we just don't take shit serious anymore, because we know what this matrix, what this whole game is all about. So, I mean, that's not to say I don't get upset, I don't get angry, and I don't get frustrated. I do. I'm a human, just like everybody. But I think it's the way you move through it. You process all of that emotion quite quickly, because you just in the end go, fuck it. What's the point of stressing myself out over it? All I've got to do is just change my thinking and change my state of being, and it will just turn itself around, and it always does. So I think that's as much as we can say on desire, is just that make sure whatever you're desiring, it's coming from an authentic, genuine, loving place, and don't feel guilty about it. And like I said, it's something wicked. And then align with the desire. Let it come from a good feeling place. As I say, the spider diagrams I do are always a good one. So if you've got a desire and it feels impossible, which nothing is, but if it feels unachievable, do a little spider diagram or make a list of all the feelings that you would feel if you had that thing that you're desiring right this second. If you were already in the loving relationship, if you were already on holiday, if you already had the car on the driveway, if you were living in your perfect home, if you had the best job in the world, how would you feel? Start to embody those emotions. Start to live in the end as if, you're already there. You're already on holiday. We do it all the time, don't we? We fantasize about, oh my God, I can't wait till I'm on the beach. And you picture yourself in your, swim trunks and bikini, and you're lying with your cocktail, whatever. That's essentially living in the end. So you just imagine yourself sitting at your desk in your office, or doing whatever it is you're doing. Imagine yourself, counting your money, or, checking your bank balance and seeing the numbers, buying something luxurious with the money. Imagine, cuddling up next to your person and just snuggled up watching a movie, holding hands, little things, And when you embody that state and you stay in that longer and longer and longer, and you start to feel more of the joy, the love, the happiness, the freedom, you will start to then experience things in your 3D that start to match that. And that is your external evidence, if you need it, that things are shifting. Your main, my connection is unstable. Hopefully it's on there. Don't know if you can still hear me, but it's saying it's trying to reconnect me. I don't know why it's saying my connection is unstable. This is stupid. Right. I think I'm back. YouTube's a pain in the ass. Anyway, so the external evidence, if you need it, will be signs, synchronicities, things shifting in your 3D, and the appearance, or rather the more evidence you see of things that relate to how you're feeling to do with your desire. The real evidence that things are shifting and things are moving and unfolding, your bridge of events, is actually how you feel. When you are feeling those feelings on a more consistent basis, when your thoughts are more in alignment with the desire already being done, that's the only evidence you really need. And if you dip in and out, don't fucking worry about it. So this will actually lead me on to my next one, which is doubt. Doubt is a crucial one. A lot of people in the manifesting community say, if you doubt your desire, it'll never happen. Nah, not so true. I mean, it will if you believe that, because at the end of the day, you will manifest what you so believe. If you don't believe that, it's not going to affect you, is it? But doubt is natural. We're always going to have a few wobbles every day of like, but what if it doesn't happen? And what if this? And what if that? It doesn't matter. As long as you go back into, when I've said before, your what and your why, as long as you go back into, yeah, but why do I want it? I want it because I just really want to experience it. I really want to feel it because it matters to me, because I love it, because I love them, because it's everything I've ever wanted, and you want it because it's yours, you wouldn't want it otherwise, right? So if you doubt something, it's not really that you're doubting the possibility of the manifestation. It's that your ego is still fixed in logic. because it wants to still work out how it's going to happen. It wants to know how, and it wants to know when. And so we already put expectations on ourselves as to how and when something's going to happen. For example, if we're thinking about getting a new job, we already have an expectation because of logic and the way things have always been done. You have to go and look for jobs online, or you go and apply to companies and you send your CV off, and then they'll pick you and you'll go in for an interview, might have a second one, and then you'll get offered the job, and then you go and work there. That is not the only bloody way that you can ever get a job, right? There's loads of ways you can get a job. You happen to bump into the right person at the right time. You happen to see, a staff wanted sign in a window. Somebody tells you about something. You overhear someone at the bus stop. You just happen to mention it in passing. You suddenly get a brainstorm of an idea, and then you create your own business. Think of all the people that have been on Dragon's Den who were just sat around in their pants one day eating freaking Wotsits and, drinking beer, and then all of a sudden went, do you know what? I've got a really good idea for something. This could actually work. Bing. All right. And then a year later, they're freaking living on a yacht. So doubt is a natural part of this. The way I try and look at doubt, because it freaks people out, and it used to freak me out first. The way I look at doubt now, the way to reframe it is doubt is simply a pause. It's a little moment of reflection for you to just check in with yourself and say, okay, what is happening around me right now that's making me a little bit nervous? Is it my thoughts? Is it my longer than I thought it would? And that's a big one. Oh, this bloody signal. Time is the greatest enemy of manifestation, because time is just a man-made construct. That could be today, next week, and that'll lead me on to my next one in a minute. So if you are doubting, if you're querying anything, sound is good, video quality not as good as last week. I don't know why. I'm wondering if it's because of where I am. I don't know. I think I might have been in a different location before. I'm wondering, because we wondered if there was like signal blockers around here where I am, but joys of van life, right? I'll try and skim this as quickly as I can, and hopefully it won't be absolute dog crap. So apologies if it's crap quality. So yeah, don't worry about doubt. Just use it as a moment of reflection to just check in on yourself. So if you're doubting something, it's usually because you have an expectation about it. So just do a little sense check with yourself and just say, okay, I'm doubting this is happening because I thought it would take 4 weeks and it's actually 6 weeks now and nothing's happened. Okay, I just need to get back in my trust. I just need to know that it's already done. I don't need to worry about it. Let me go off and just make something to eat, get on with my day. Let me go and plan my weekend. Let me just forget about it. Because honestly, forgetting about it is the best thing. So with this timing thing, it then leads me on to a key one, which is divine timing. Divine timing pisses everybody off. Everybody in manifestation hates divine timing because it's almost like a cop-out. It's like a get-out clause. It's a bit like, it's like people when they say the phrase, oh, well, it is what it is. What does that even mean? Just, it's not receiving enough video to mainstream search viewers will experience buffering. I'm going to see if I can change my connection and see if that makes a difference. It's trying to connect. Right, let me change to a different Wi-Fi connector and see if that helps. We'll give it a go. This is obviously why everybody's buggered off. Because I had a few viewers. No, I don't. Sorry. Apologies, viewers. So yeah, divine timing annoys everybody because it feels like a cop-out. But essentially, divine timing is just when it's right. When it's aligned, when it's meant to happen. It'll be, you'll pass on the street, you'll just be in the right place, right time, you'll talk to the right person, right time. And there's that thing of like, oh, is it wrong person, right time? Is it right person, wrong time? And all of those things. Well, no, because it's never the wrong time. Everything happens when it's meant to happen. The only thing that kind of can mess with it is obviously us. When we start to fuck around with things, when we start to try and manipulate and force and get too involved with stuff. When we're literally just observing and receiving and then taking aligned action, nothing's in the way. So even if the aligned action for you is to quit your job before you've got a new one, if something in you is just saying, this is what I have to do, trust it. You know, if you feel like, oh my God, I really feel like I need to take a break from this relationship because I know that by taking a break, it's going to make us even stronger. Do it. Trust it. Because the divine timing will never let you down. What is meant for you will never pass you by. It will just keep circling back around until you and it are ready. And you don't have to be perfect. Nothing has to be perfect. People think that they've got to be perfect. They've got to have everything together. And that's not always the way it goes. Sometimes we meet people or we end up in situations that actually help us grow. And they're part of the stepping stone to the desired manifestation. But we get so attached to these little increments that it sort of stagnates us and stops us from moving on. So really the key with divine timing is it's you. You are the divine timing. Are you ready for it? Are you open to receiving what it is? And are you in alignment to it? i.e., are you wishing for money, but still telling yourself that money's really hard to come by? Are you wanting a loving relationship, but you still don't really value yourself and you think that nobody really cares? That's the things that kind of creep up. So what else have we got here? Destiny. I'm going to work on that one. One of my favorite phrases, and this is so true of it. This is an it is what it is person would follow this. And it's Carl Jung. And he said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So essentially what they're saying is what you don't see, what you don't know that's going on in your head is what is creating your reality. And so therefore you will constantly keep saying, oh, this was meant to happen. This is destiny. It was fated. You know, I was meant to lose the job. I was meant to do this. Once you become conscious of all that shit going on, you now know you have the power to change it. So now it's no longer fate. It's no longer destiny. It's now you creating your reality. Because if you leave things up to fate and destiny, essentially what you're just doing is going, well, I've got no say in the matter. So whatever happens, just happens and I'll deal with it, which in some ways is kind of a nice way to go about life. But if you're actively wanting to be in charge of your life, if you want to be in charge of your thoughts, if you don't want to keep manifesting the same shitty all the time, you have to make your unconscious conscious. I have to actually discuss this because this happened to me this week. I had a serious fucking meltdown. Huge. And it was a past experience that I'd had as a child and as an adult. It was a very traumatic experience. I think it was triggered a lot by a lot of stuff that I'd seen in the media around the abuse and trafficking of women. A lot of the Epstein file stuff that had come up was very personal to me, experiences I've had in the past. And I've dealt with it all. I'm fine with it, forgave everyone, moved on. Honestly, I could talk about it and it doesn't really bother me. But I was not aware that I still had an unconscious belief in my mind was only good for one thing, and that the only thing men wanted me for was to hurt me and that they didn't really care. And I know at a conscious level that's bollocks, absolute bollocks. But the little girl part of me hadn't really made peace and just sat with it. Then I was able to reframe it. But the biggest part of it was letting it go. No longer attaching to that story, no longer and no longer holding. And I just decided I don't want that in my life anymore. So I had to just let it go, because that unconscious story that I thought I'd cleared was still going around, was still manifesting experiences in my reality that I didn't want. And it used to frustrate the shit out of me, because I'd be like, but I'm choosing this and I'm acting like this and I'm embodying this and I've changed everything and done all these things. And why is this still showing up? Why do I still experience kind of behavior? And that's why. And it's taken me a couple of days, but it feels like it's shifted, it's cleared. And I don't honestly believe that anymore. I don't feel it anymore. The little girl part of me feels safe now, feels like she's made peace with it. She no longer believes that that is all she's worth. She knows she's worth more than that, because I tell her that she's worth more than that. So when it comes to our destiny, a lot of the times we are actually the creators of that. And we need to be aware of that. So it's very crucial that you get aware of what little stories are coming up in your head. So let's do one of Chris's. Let's go with discernment. Hang on, I'm just going to catch up with these. Okay, never thought of that one time. Yeah, had a bad relationship in lockdown. Oh, that's a shame. Oh my God. Sounds quite rock and roll. I've seen it all. Was attract the bangers. Well, I was about my breakdown. Oh no, breakdowns are great. Triggers are great. Listen, I'm going to wait for my connection to stabilize again. I may have to just move at this rate. Let me just turn my power bank on, because I don't want the power going out. Okay. Yeah. Don't worry about triggers. I'm trying to get my power. Bear with me a sec. Right. There we go. Sorry, I was cutting out. Yeah, don't worry about triggers. Triggers are fine. Honestly, triggers are a good thing. We need them, because that's how we see what shit's going on in our head. But in terms of your story, Chris, like you say, I always attract the bangers. Unconsciously, you possibly do. There's something there underlying that, even if you're not looking for it, there's a familiarity. And it's either a familiarity between the type of people you're ending up with, because it reminds you of a situation growing up. So there's that familiarity, and familiarity breeds comfort, weirdly. Or because of an unconscious story that's still going on in the background, like I don't deserve love, or I will be abandoned, people always hurt me, people abuse me, people will always leave me. You inadvertently pick people that you know are not good for you, that you know are going to leave you, because there's an element of you not wanting to give your heart to somebody, not wanting to be vulnerable, not wanting to trust somebody, because it will hurt you and you don't want to get hurt. So a lot of times, self-sabotage, we don't realize this, especially in relationships, that we actively choose people who we know are not right for us, because again, we can then say when it ends, see, said that was going to happen, they weren't right for me anyway, because you never had to fully commit, give your heart and be vulnerable with that person. Because if you truly did, you would be opening yourself up to so much pain. Now, somebody who's safe and reliable and stable is unfamiliar. It's also threatening to the nervous system, because it means you have to really show up authentically, openly, give yourself, and trust that that person can break your heart, but you've got to trust that they're not going to. And that is the real fear of love and relationships. Up to somebody, offering them all of you, knowing that they can fucking crush you, but trusting that they won't. And that's a fucking huge risk. And not many of us really are open to that, especially if we've had bad experiences. So we subconsciously avoid it by picking people that are just not good for us, because then we don't have to commit. We don't have to fully open up and give ourselves to them. So it's a weird thing that the humans do, but it's our survival thing. It's the way we keep safe. So yes, discern. Did I say discernment was one that I was going to do next? Hang on, I've just dropped everything. Oh God, it's all going well tonight. I'm falling to pieces, I tell you, after my hike. I'm absolutely ruined. Yeah, so that's interesting on your thoughts. We're getting triggered. I understand that. Yeah. It's good. It's a good thing. Don't put yourself in situations where you're constantly getting triggered. That's not a good thing, because it's just going to really exacerbate your nervous system. You want to find safety and stability and security, and you want to bring peace in your body. So if you're constantly for example, if you've got a family member who you know absolutely riles you up, stop fucking going and seeing them. If going to a certain place triggers past memories that are traumatic, don't go there. And you've resolved those feelings in you. And even then, you want to kind of drip feed yourself into it. Putting yourself in situations that are constantly triggering you is not healthy. Being able to emotionally regulate and stabilize yourself, inspire them, the goal. So that even when you're triggered, you have all the tools to calm yourself down, reframe, restabilize, ground yourself, be rational, and proceed forward without having a proper meltdown. Just have a cry and punch some things. Just don't punch people. Yes, so discernment is a key one, because you have to really know, like when we talked in the last one about choosing, and again, this is like with deciding. I'll get onto that one in a minute. Something, we really have to have the discernment of, again, like desire. Why do we want it? Do we want it just for shits and giggles? Fine, if that's the case, but be honest about it. Do you want it because you think that you can't survive without it? Do you want something because you believe it's the only way that you're going to feel loved? Do you want it because you feel like if you do, it's going to prove that you're worthy? Do you want something because it just makes you feel better? And there's nothing wrong with any of that, but we have to be quite ourselves, I think. So discernment is a good one in terms of being able to say, is this in alignment with my end desire? In other words, if you're desiring a loving, committed relationship, but you are proceeding to have endless one-night stands with people who are, your discernment's in that sense pretty shit, because you're choosing things that are not in alignment with your end goal. If you're someone that wants success and wealth and you want to be an entrepreneur, but you're still hanging around with people who regularly drink alcohol, get pissed at the weekend, do a lot of drugs, quite delinquent, very lazy, unmotivated, unambitious, really drag you down, again, your level of discernment's pretty low. So you have to get really, really switched on. And the only question is this getting me? Oh, let's wait for the connection to come around again. This is pissing me off. I don't know about you, Chris, but this is pissing me off. Right. I hope this is okay. The only thing you've ever got to do is just say, is this in alignment with my desire? Is this getting me closer or further away from where I want to be and that I know I need to be in order to have my desire? Then I need to stop doing this thing, or I need to stop being around these people, or creating these habits. You've got to quit smoking. It makes sense. So discernment is very, very good. It's also having discernment about saying, I might want this relationship, but it's not fucking healthy for me because it makes me feel like crap, or the person hits me. Get out. If you're in an abusive relationship, no amount of manifesting should make you stay. It's not right. It's a bond, and you need safety is paramount in all cases. I cannot stress that enough. So yeah, that's the one thing we'll say about discernment is it's really about your desires, why you're wanting them, and yeah, staying in alignment with them. Let's go on to, this will be a good one. Desperation. I can't do dating sites. I have to meet in real life. Oh, dating sites. Ugh. It's I know a lot of people that are on them, and there's quite a few people that have said to me, why don't you go back on the dating site? And I'm like, not a chance in hell. I've tried the dating apps a few times. I will say, I believe I met my person on a dating app, so I am grateful for that. It's gave me some good experiences, but I'm to you, Chris. I like to meet people in real life. And most of the people on dating apps really are desperate. That leads to my next D. Desperation. Oh, you've ever experienced someone with needy, clingy, desperate energy? It's pretty off-putting. And it works the same way, pushing it away. Because you have to think of a magnet. It's a polarizing emotion. When you're chasing something, it's going to run. You think of a dog. When you chase the dog, it runs away. When you chase a butterfly, when you are just still, or even when you just walk away from it, it will follow you. So desperation it's a really good indicator that something inside of you is just not healthily balanced. There is a story, there is a wound, there is an emotion that you have not processed, and it needs to be addressed, because either you feel like you need that thing to be validated, or that you're not worth it without it, and you are still worth everything. You don't need anything in this life to justify that you're good enough as you are, because you are. It took me a while to figure that out, but we are. We do not need anything in this life. Not a person, not money, not status, not success. We don't need any bloody thing in this life to know that we are worthy. The only thing we need to do is decide that we are. And that kind of goes into decisions. When you have desire, decide it's yours. Decide that it's done. Like, that's what I want. Done. Think of it like ordering takeaway. Or you go into a restaurant, you order your food off the menu, and then they bugger off and they go and make it for you. You don't sit there every 2 minutes going, where's my food? Where's my food? Where's my food? That's that desperate energy. Where is it? Why isn't it here yet? Why hasn't it happened? Oh my God, if I don't have it now, I'm just going to absolutely drop down dead right now. If this doesn't happen, my whole life will fall apart. If you are in that kind of energy, really get a check on yourself and figure out what it is that's going on inside of you. But once you've made a decision about something, it has to be as clear cut as, hi, I want to order a chicken chow mein to this address. Cool, thanks. That's it. Go online. Ooh, like that jacket. Buy now. Pay. Done. Think I'll go make some dinner now. And off I go. That is it. That's manifesting in a nutshell right there. I want something. I'm going to decide that it's mine. And now I'm just going to go off and live my life. Just fantasizing about it, imagining it, dreaming of it, enjoying the feeling of knowing that it's on its way to me right now. And I can't wait to experience it, because that's why I'm manifesting it, because I want to experience it. And you just live your life in the meantime. I know it's easier said than done, because sometimes we get very hung up on things, myself included. More so when it comes to manifesting people. people and money tend to be, and actually, did you know that love and money have the same frequency? So however you feel about money is usually how you feel about relationships, about love. So mine were linked. Love, it's hard to come by, never lasts. Money, hard to come by, never lasts. What are the chances? But yeah, so they have the same frequency. So however you feel towards love is generally also how you feel towards money. And if you treated money like it was a relationship and you spoke to it like it was your partner, do that exercise and see how you talk to money. Like if you were sat face to face with money, what would you say to it now? Would it be, I'm really grateful that you're around. I'm really thankful because, you know, you make my life easier? Or would it be, whenever you turn up, it's like 5 minutes later and you're gone again, and you drive me crazy because the minute I think you're going to stay, you leave? You can see what sort of dialogue you start to have, and that's your relationship with money. It's quite a cool exercise. I did it, and it made me laugh actually. Things that I was saying. Let's see. Desperation is not a good energy. I'm doing a 30 juice fast this month and looking forward to it for spiritual growth. Yeah, really good. I was going to say, like, fasting. Fasting, juicing, it's all good. I would urge anybody to just do it, even if it's just like once, twice a week. And a parasite cleanse. That's always a good one, but that'll take us off on a whole new tangent. What was the other thing? What about getting triggered online? Would you come offline? I've been doing hour a week now and no doom scrolling this week and feel great. Yeah, exactly. Even I've had to do this. So I realized because of the trigger I had, I was lashing out quite a bit. And I'm sorry to say this, but I was lashing out quite a bit towards men in general. And it was very wound based. It was very trauma based. I didn't mean any of it. But I was then manifesting more and more and more information online that was all about misogyny, and it was all about, you know, how women were downtrodden and how men were awful. You know, this phrase at the moment that it's not all men, but it's always men. Okay, so, you know, there's truth in that. But as I've said, the more you focus upon something, the more you're going to see it. So the more I have that feeling, the more I think about that pain, the more I relive that trauma, the more that I carry that anger and frustration, the more I'm going to see it in my reality. And it fucking happened, because as that anger and frustration built in me, I started to see more of it online, and the more of it online I saw, the more it fueled the anger and frustration inside of me, and that became this vicious cycle. And that is how we get caught in the 3D. That's how we get caught up. We hear these stories, they anger us, they trigger a wound in us, then we start to vent, then we see more, then we start to vent more, then we see more, then we vent more. Now we're caught in this endless fucking argument with ourselves, essentially, because everything is you pushed out. So, yeah. So I do highly agree. If something is getting you, get offline anyway. Now, when I post on social media, I'm literally coming on to post, to do my thing, and then I'm fucking off again. I spend as little time as I can now on Instagram. I'm hardly ever on Facebook. And most of what I do is I go on YouTube. But even that, I'm limiting myself now. I haven't done a lot of proper meditations for a while. I haven't done a lot of sitting in silence for a while. So I'm going to come back to that. Same with exercise, same with other routines that I used to do during the summer. I think the winter months just play havoc with this anyway. But I've got to a point now where, now that we see a little bit of sunshine, I actually want to get back in that routine. So you saying about juicing's actually reminded me about, you know, doing some more of the fasting and eating clean again. So yeah, it's little triggers like that we need to kind of, they work to our advantage actually. So where have I got to? So yeah, with decisions, just decide that it's done. It's literally as straightforward as that. And then just forget about it. And I know it's quite hard, but as I say, imagine like when you book a holiday, you know, you don't spend all day, every day agonizing over the fact that your holiday is like 4 months away. You know you're going on holiday in 4 months. So what do? You fantasize, you start planning things, you start buying new outfits, you start imagining yourself on the beach. That is what you do while your manifestation is cooking. We always think of it like you're baking it in the oven. You know, whatever you've done, you've put the ingredients in, right? You've embodied the state, you've cleared out all your shitty thoughts, you've aligned yourself with your desire, you've decided it's done, and now you've stuck it in the oven. And occasionally you might check, you might be like, oh, is it here yet? Is it, you know, what's happening with this? I'm guilty of that as well. So I'm not going to say don't do it. It's a habit. We do it. As long as you're not doing it 7 times a day, it's fine. Once every few days, fine. Maybe once a week, start to wean yourself off it. And whenever you do, just go, oh, it's okay. I'm just checking because, you know, just want to have a little sneaky peek. And then you just pop it back in the oven again. You say, okay, not ready. Okay, stick it back in. And then you go about your business again. And that's kind of it. Let's have a look at some other ones. Well, you say dependent. I would actually say this is kind of like dependency. And this can feed in with C, codependency. Crikey, we're very similar. We are. Dependency. Yeah. In terms of dependency with manifestation, what you're looking for is, are you dependent on an outcome to make you feel a certain way? And that's like, I refer back to where you say, I need this thing to happen a certain way, or I even just need this thing because otherwise I'm not good enough without it, because otherwise I'm not worthy without it, because otherwise I'm not a success without it. If you have a dependency on something, if you are dependent on a situation, a circumstance, or a happening to validate you or make you feel a certain way, you are so backwards. That is the old 3D way of thinking. I.e., if I want this, I must do this, this, and this to get this result. And manifesting doesn't work that way. It's not quite like that. Again, it's about aligned action. So it's feeling into something. It's that discernment of, okay, well, I could send 50 emails to get a job. I could spend 6 hours every day trawling through the job sites, or I could spend just a couple of hours today brushing up my CV, researching a few companies that I would love to work for, contacting them, finding out who I would need to send this CV to, and then sending it to them. That's like one day's work. And you have gone direct to the source. You've gone direct. You've literally cut out all the bullshit and you've gone direct. That is aligned action. That is discernment. That is the power of manifesting, because you may leave that. You may not hear back from any of those companies. You might send your CV to 5 companies and it's fucking crickets. Weeks go by. Week 5, email comes through. Hi, I read your CV and we recently have had an opening and we'd like to invite you for an interview. Now, what you couldn't see in that time frame, because you're thinking, well, why haven't they got back to me? Why haven't they contacted me? Bastards. Because we do, that's what we think. In that time, that 5 weeks, there was no job available. So why would they contact you? But what they did is they liked your CV, so they kept it on file. And then 4 weeks later, somebody decides to quit the job, or they go off on maternity, or I don't know, something terrible happens. Let's hope not. But they decide they're not going to be in that job anymore. Now the vacancy becomes available. It wasn't available 4 weeks ago. So while you've been there stressing for 4 weeks, saying, why isn't this happening? Why isn't this happening? This comes into divine timing again. Things have to happen. Things have to align. It's like chess. Everything will move into position and you just got to try not to cling on and force and manipulate and hold on to things and get dependent on them. If, a friendship breaks down, it's going to be horrible. It's going to be uncomfortable. You're not going to want it to happen, but you have to trust in that moment that this is part of the unfolding. If you and, the love of your life separate, find some trust and faith somewhere that this is all part of the unfolding. It either means that this separation is actually going to bring you closer together, or that during this separation, you're actually going to meet the real love of your life. Both options are brilliant, right? There is no loss in that. That if you get fired from one job, that's because there's another one lined up that's even better. So having that is one of the most powerful things you can have as a conscious manifestor. You're looking for a job is a nightmare. It really is. I have to say, though, I'm a bit weird. I freaking love interviews. I would spend whole day doing job interviews. I would be in my element. I love them. And I'm learning that if I applied my joy of job interviews to dating, I would have a much better experience. Because with job interviews, like every job I've ever gone for, I got it. In fact, some even got a better job. I remember once, a couple of summers ago, I applied for a job, and it was for a wedding and event coordinator. And there were two positions. One was the manager's role, part-time. And I wanted the part-time one because of my son's school hours. So it was perfect. It was 5 days a week. So it was Monday to Friday, and it was something like 10 till 4. It was perfect hours. Now I got ready for that interview, and, with my credentials, doing an events and floristry, and the fact that I'd already worked at that venue before doing weddings, gave me a little bit of a tick, so in I went. And I just had this energy in me that was just like, I'm going to piss all over this. This is mine. I could have this job easy. And I wasn't hung up on it. I didn't care if I got the job or not. And that played into my advantage. I walked into there so confident because I knew I could do that job with my eyes closed. And also, I didn't care if I got it or not. Sat down with the guy doing the interview. Within 5 minutes, his jaw was on the floor. And he's like, oh my God, you are so good. You are better than anyone we've ever seen. I want to offer you the manager's position. And I said, well, I don't really want that because of the hours. But you're brilliant. We need you. And I went, yeah, but I'm not really fancying it. I want the part-time. And he's like, okay, well, we've got other people to see, but I need you to meet the owner of the hotel. And I was like, fine, set it up. I couldn't give a shit. And I left, and they emailed me later that afternoon. We loved your interview. We want you to come back again and meet the guy. We just think you're fantastic. We'd love to offer you the position. We understand you don't want it, but, let's just say it's a done deal. All the information. Now, I got a funny feeling about this place. I did not get a good vibe because it was new owners, new management. Something was off. So I decided to do a little bit of Google reviewing. And I Googled them in terms, there's a website you could use about staff reviewing their employers. And I found it, and the reviews were horrible. They treated their staff like shit. And I knew I didn't want this. And guess what? That job through. Went from literally desperate for me to crickets. Went silent. They never responded to any more of my emails. Now, why would that happen? If it wasn't for the simple fact that in that split moment of reading those reviews, I went, I don't want this. This is not for me. Bye-bye. But even when I went for a job as a dental receptionist, they gave the job to someone else. Next day, and I left there and I went, I really wanted that job, but actually I really wanted to be the dental nurse, but I have a position for dental nurse. However, the next day I got a call from the practice manager saying, we can't offer you the position of the receptionist, but would you like to train to be a dental nurse? Because in that 24 hours, one of the nurses left. And I'd had it in my mind, I want to be a dental nurse. I don't want to be a receptionist. I want to be a dental nurse. Got it. Easy peasy. And it's happened in every single job I've ever gone for. Now, why I can't apply that to dating, I'll never know, but I try. But that's the kind of air you want to have about your manifestation. It's literally like, oh my God, this is a walk in the park. This is done deal. This is mine. I don't have to stress about it. All I've got to do is show up in a way that tells me and the universe that this is mine. This is done. And you walk around your life like it is done, like you've already been offered the job, like you've already got the person begging you to be their partner, like you've already just won the lottery. You walk around with that embodiment and you don't care whether you get it or not, because we don't get upset about the car that's already on our drive. We don't sit there going, I wish I had my car, and it's there on the drive. We don't say, I wish I lived in this house that I'm living in. But that's what we do when it comes to manifesting. I wish I had this thing that I already have, but just because I can't see it, I don't think I've got it. But if you think about it, you don't think you don't have a house when you're at work. You're not at work saying to yourself, I wish I had my house. You have a house. Just because you're not in your house right now doesn't mean you don't have your house anymore. When you're in a relationship and your person goes to work, you don't sit there going, oh my God, I've lost my person. We're in no contact. We're no longer together because we're not literally in front of each other's faces. But that's how we deal with a lot of our manifestations. If it's not physically in front of us, we feel like we don't have it. Not the case. I've been stuck at the same job for 19 years. But you're not stuck. You're not stuck, Chris. It's a choice. You've chosen to stay there for whatever reason. Doesn't matter what the reasons are, whether it's financial, whether it's just comfortable, whether you were just scared of moving on, whether there wasn't anything available, whether it was just easy. But there were reasons that you stayed. You are never stuck. It is now up to you to decide. Do you want to stay there? And if you don't, start getting clear about what it is you do want, and then start making little steps towards that manifestation. And if it is a particular dream, like you said about the van life, about living on the land and stuff like that, focus on that. Really visualize it. Imagine it as already done. Picture yourself living in the van. Picture yourself living off the land, whatever it is you want to do. And then start putting yourself in situations that are going to match that. You're not stuck in that job. That job served a purpose. You've been in that job for as long as you have been because you just have. But at any time, that can change. You remind me of a florist or a school teacher. Well, I was a florist. I had a florist business for, when did I start that? 2013? And I closed it 2 years ago. And I was very successful, I must admit. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And I opened my business while I was in the middle of having a mental health breakdown, believe it or not. And so it was quite ironic when people told me I was crazy, because I was like, yeah, I fucking am. But do you know what? It was the most certain of anything I've ever been in my life. It was the most, I was like, yeah, you're psychic. I was so sure. I was so passionate. I had no doubt in my mind that I was going to make it. However, when times were tough, I would panic. And I would always have to wait until that panic would kick in before I would get, the wheels turned. But the way everything aligned was impeccable. I knew I wanted to quit my job and I knew I wanted to be a florist. Within about a month, I got made redundant. I got a $7,000 payout that paid for me to set up my business. Few months later, my granddad died and I got left inheritance. That inheritance paid for my mortgage for the next year while the business was getting set up. Now, sometimes I look back and think, God, I wasted that money. But no, I didn't. I did not. And in every couple of years, I would fantasize about the next level. So I started from home, and I would dream about having a studio. The studio just fell in my lap. I decided I wanted a shop. I made one aligned action, which was I just put a comment on Facebook one day and said, I'm so pissed off with the lack of facilities for creative people like me. All I want is a small shop. Somebody saw that and they commented, and within 24 hours, I'd found my shop. That is how quickly manifestation can happen. That is how quickly things can change in a split second. Just taking that intuitive aligned action, it's done. Because the moment that you desired it, it was yours. You just had to get there. You know, things had to unfold, things had to be in place. For instance, I couldn't have had that shop 2 years earlier because it wasn't fucking built. I couldn't have moved in even a month before I'd sent that message because it wasn't ready. So there's so many things that couldn't have happened before. So whenever you find yourself saying, I wish I'd done that sooner, you couldn't have done it sooner. So stop wishing for things to have happened differently because they didn't change the past. So just accept that you are where you are because you are meant to be where you are right now. But you don't have to stay where you are. You get to choose where you want to go from now. And I was also a florist teacher as well. So there you go. So you tick 2 boxes there. I was an oral health educator as well. So teaching has been part of my life. Hence why coaching has always been natural for me. I used to do it when I was a little kid. I'd be in primary school and all the kids would come over at lunchtime and they'd take it in turns to come and sit with me and tell me their problems and I'd give them solutions. I was like freaking 6, 7, 8 years old doing this. Then at secondary school, I used to do it for the teachers. At college, I used to do it for my tutors. I've literally spent my whole life problem solving and agony aunting people. And I love it. That's why I do this now. And I've done it all through my floristry career as well. Hello, Cerbigification. Oh, thank you for joining me. You might have to catch the rest of this. I'm sorry, there's been a lot of buffering. And that's not euphemism, unfortunately. There's been a lot of buffering. Chris has endured it, bless him. And it's been interesting with the signal. So it seems to have been settled now. Everything fell into place. Yeah, I even manifested the motorhome. Again, this is another story. So I decided I wanted a motorhome. It had to happen, but I needed to sell my house first. So the house was due to sell in June. Literally 24 hours before we were due to exchange, there was a problem in one of the contracts for my ex-partner's flat. And it would have literally crashed everything to the ground. Of course, everybody was panicking. I remember sitting in my car and having a tiny little cry. And then I decided, no, this is freaking happening. And I trust that this is going to happen. And I prayed. I did a little bit of praying. And it all went through. It all went through fine. And in that week, I had decided to go looking for motorhomes. And I had written down probably 5 things that I wanted from a motorhome, including the price, as well as the decor, everything. I'd written it. I looked at one, wasn't right. A couple of days later, looked at another, wasn't right. I found another and I messaged the guy and I got no reply. So I was like, okay, well, forget that. So I left it. 2 weeks went by and then I get a message from this guy to say, hey, sorry, I've been away, because he was in the RAF. He said, but I've just got back. Would you like to come and view it? And I said, I'll be round in a bit. Went to view it, ticked every single friggin' box. The only thing that was different was the price. The price was a lot higher than I wanted to pay. But I had it in my head what I wanted to pay, and that's what I was going to pay because I decided it. Within about 10 minutes of viewing this motorhome that I'm now in, the guy reduced the price. I said nothing. I didn't coerce anything. I didn't do any bargaining. All I said, I want this motorhome. This is everything that I dreamed of. I want it. And he dropped the price. He even threw in some extras. So I got everything I wanted out of this motorhome. Now, I could not have got this motorhome 2 weeks prior because the house hadn't sold. So I needed to wait for the house to sell before home. So the fact that he was away for 2 weeks, the fact that the other two motorhomes that I went to see were not right, but they were, it was like Goldilocks, you know, first one, yeah, second one, yeah, third one, bingo. That is how the bridge of events happens. You have to look for the synchronicities, follow the breadcrumbs, just know that everything's aligning. Even if it looks like it's going to shit, like my house was going to fall through, it didn't. I stayed in trust. Just knew it was going to be okay. And that is one of the most powerful things you can have is, and that feeds into something else you said, determination. You've got to have that discipline and determination, the dedication to see it through. That it's the face of adversity, you still stay true to your desire. Oh, just a really good D. Delusion. Seriously, when it comes to manifesting, delulu is the slulu, as they say. So you've got to be delusional. You literally, however batshit crazy your idea is. Like in my family at the moment, I say, like my mum made a joke a while ago and said, oh, you need to get a job. And I said, well, yeah, that's fine. I said, well, you know, when I get my first million, I'll do that. And she went, like, you're going to make $1 million. I went, who says, what, just because you don't believe it? I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm the first millionaire in my family. And you know what? As soon as the words fell out my mouth, I had this wave come over me of, oh shit, I'm going to be the first millionaire in my family. I'm really going to do it. Like this absolute knowing inside of me. Same as like, you know, the person that I fell in love with, you know, it's easy for us to kind of go, oh, well, you know, obviously it didn't work out. Maybe it wasn't right for you, you know, you can come up with so many reasons why. Oh, maybe there's someone else for you. Maybe not meant to be. You know, just didn't align. Blah 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 blah. It was a trauma bond. Whatever. You know, we come up with all these things. But when you know something, and you just feel it, it's not just I want it because like a competitive thing. Like I want it because it'll prove that I'm worthy. I want it because you know I'm no good without it. I need it. You know, I don't need anything. I just know it feels right. It just may not be right now. And that's okay. But you have to be a little delusional because people won't believe you and people's opinions will mess up your manifestations as much as your own doubts. So if you listen to other people, when you're there thinking, do you know what? For example, Chris, you're thinking, do you know what? In the next 6 months, I'm going to be living in my own van. I'm going to be self-employed, doing the thing that I love, and I'm going to be making a fuck ton of money. And you tell that to people, and they will laugh at you. But if you've decided that, if that is your true heart's desire, and you have knowing inside of you, this is for you, this is meant for you, hold on to that. Because your desire is not going to be the same as everybody else's. You don't want what other people want, and they don't necessarily want what you want. And people's experiences are going to affect that. So being a little delusional goes a long, long way in manifesting. And it's not that it's unrealistic. You know, you're not being delusional like in the sense of, oh, I'm going to marry Brad Pitt tomorrow. Could happen, but, you know, that seems a little bit crazy delusional. But it's not delusional to think that one day I'm going to be sat in a room with Brad Pitt. One day I'll be sat in a room with Brad Pitt. It might be when he's fucking 90. But then I'll be able to turn around to everyone and go, ha, see, did it. You know, again, we just don't worry about the timing. Just know that it's going to happen. It's just a done deal. It's just when it's ready. So, yeah, So I think there's about all the D's that I'm going to go through now. Exhausted this, and I think it's time to go. Oh, look at that. 11111. That was good. 111 on the clock. So that's a good sign. I've been seeing a lot of repeating numbers and mirror hours lately, so I know that something's good. And I keep seeing the red thread, so that's a good sign. But yes, been watching a blurry screen. I've enjoyed it. Oh, I bet you were top class in school too, straight A's. Oh my God, Chris, no, I was terrible. I was not straight A. I was lucky if I could scrape a C because I was too busy. I was too busy having fun, to be perfectly honest with you. I procrastinated a lot, so I didn't revise. I actually got quite stoned for a lot of my exams in my GCSEs. I remember getting very stoned in my history, and I had to write an essay about Stalin, and I got really carried away. I did get a B in my English language. And I did well in languages. I did quite well in science. This is what makes me laugh, that if my physics teacher could see me now, the way that I talk about quantum physics, the way that I talk about, just science in general, would absolutely blow his mind, because I just was not that way at all. I learned a lot more out of school than I probably did in. I think that's the case with most people. But yeah, I was not a straight A student. Not in the least. I did know a lot of straight A students. The one thing I will say about me at school is I was a chameleon. So I could hang out the stoners, the brainiacs, the delinquent, the special needs kids. I was friends with every single type of person at school. There wasn't a single person that I did not get on with. And that was rare, because a lot of the times, the cool kids never spoke to the geeks. The geeks would never dream of hanging out with goths. Goths didn't speak to the special needs. Special needs didn't really speak to anyone. Everybody used to sort of keep them themselves. And I was to weave in between all of them. And they were all great. Loved every single one of them. They all had special qualities. But that's something I remember fondly about school. And people do remember that. Some people have said that, that's the thing that I'm most proud of actually about school, is that I was able to get on with everybody. That's quite an achievement at school, actually, because I'm sure a lot of people don't have. It's funny though, because I don't really speak to a lot of people from school now. I don't actually have any friends from school. I don't hang out with any of them, don't see any of them. I guess I was just someone that wove in between people, turn up like a genie, and then off I go again. So yeah, but that's fine. That's life. Yes, I did do the story about my motorhome in another video. It's yeah, it was quite a challenge, but I got there in the end, and here I am. So that's enough rambling. I've got quite a nice list for E's, but again, put a comment below if you've got any E's of manifesting that you would like me to talk about on next Sunday. And hopefully we won't have any buffering issues. We won't have any signal issues. The sound will be clear, and YouTube will just comply for once. I'm manifesting it to be true. And I'm 2 people away from 500 subscribers. I would really like to get to 1,000. I have been manifesting this, not super consciously, but something that I really wanted was 500 by Christmas and then 1,000 within the next few months. So please like, share, subscribe, tell everybody you know about this channel and how amazing it is and how lovely I am, and get them to subscribe and get them to come and join us and watch, because I'm going to go now. Thank you for joining me. It's been lovely speaking to you, and enjoy the rest of your evening, and hope these have helped. And I would love for you, Chris, to start journaling your manifestation, to start writing down everything that you desire and start getting in alignment with it, and start taking those little aligned actions. And embodying the state and doing all these things that we talk about when it comes to the career, the dating, everything else. Just make a little list of everything that you desire and then stay focused on it. And then you can at least come in every week and start telling me when you see these little shifts or when you've seen little synchronicities, because it would be really cool to have someone actually manifesting along with this journey. So if anybody else has got anything that they're trying to manifest, you can always put a comment and let me know. And I think it would be amazing if we all have something. So I'm manifesting 1,000 subscribers as well as many other things. So if you've got something that you're manifesting, make a note of it. And then we'll see how we go along the way. And I can give you any tips if you need them. Right. I will. Next one. Have a good evening. Bye. You're welcome. Catch you later.